What's going on YouTube? Ryan Alex back from Dopamon again. Today we get to talk about Team China and their Olympic hockey team was announced today. We're going to go through all the players, what we think about what's happening with Team China, give you a little bit of a quick rundown of the team, our line predictions, and to be fair, we aren't really predicting lines on this. We talked about it in our predictions video we made all the way back in October. The issue with the Chinese national team was, or for the hockey team specifically, was that they were not going to be able to compete at all with the NHL players. And I still really don't think they will be very competitive. We'll get to that. But they had to kind of augment the rules a little bit for China with allowing players of non-Chinese descent at some points to play for them, specifically because they played in China for, I think it was 16 months minimum, and then got their international transfer card and all sorts of things like that. So we're going to have a few players on here that are not Chinese-born or Chinese descent, but they essentially play for the Kunlun Red Star of the KHL, the only Chinese KHL team. And that's basically what they brought to the Olympics. If you haven't seen yet, they have just brought the Kunlun Red Star. So we'll see how this team fares. They obviously have the chemistry is not the issue with this team. They all play with each other. The Lions are not really up for that much debate, but we'll go over it anyway. This is more of like, who the hell are these players? So without further ado, Alex.
Yeah, before we get into who we think the starter's going to be, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and if you're into hockey content, we got it. We've already covered Team Russia, Slovakia, Finland, USA, Switzerland, Sweden, Czechia, Canada. We've only got a few left, so stick around. We got a lot more coming, and that's it, Ryan. Who do we have as a starting goaltender?
Well, our starting goaltender, I think the one guy who's going to be the starter is Jeremy Smith. Backup would be Pengfei Han, and Paris O'Brien is our third. These are their three goaltenders. Jeremy Smith seems to be their starter. I'll flip over to his Elite Prospects page here. The Dearborn, Michigan-born Smith has played last few years in Kunlun, and you gotta try to take these numbers here with a little bit of a grain of salt because Kunlun is not good. They are not a good KHL team. We could talk about why we think they really shouldn't even be in the KHL. They should be brought down a level. We could talk about that. But he's 418-2, almost a 900 save percentage, but he's had over a 900 save percentage in the past. Pengfei Han, I actually really hope this guy gets a start. For one reason, I want to know how he plays because this is the craziest stat line I have ever seen in Elite Prospects. In 2019-20, he played 22 games for the China Golden Dragon in the Czechia 3 League. That's 3 tiers down in the professional Czech League. 22 games, had an over 8 goals against average, and was winless and had 19 losses. Played 1 game in KHL this year and played pretty well. Right? Got 1 start. But I really want to see this guy play a game for China. And we'll see what happens there. Paris O'Brien being the last guy.
The only Chinese goaltender. So it would be nice to see him play in front of his countrymen.
Yeah, that too, obviously. Paris O'Brien, Canadian-born, 21-year-old, has played 8 games for Kunlun this year, so maybe he's more the traditional backup, but I think Jeremy Smith is your starter here.
I like Jeremy Smith. Don't let those numbers deceive you. The team's really bad, so to put up, above 900 is impressive, and he might be able to, if he can keep things shut, who knows? And that brings us to our first D pair. We have on the left Jake Chelios and on the right Ryan Sproul. Both of these guys we had predicted in our mock predictions back in October.
Yeah, I thought we did pretty well. The team has changed a little bit We had included some guys from other leagues that were more prominent Chinese players, but they essentially just brought Kunlun, right? But they obviously, since late October, the team has changed a little bit, so we missed some guys. But these two were on that prediction.
Of course, Chelios is the son of Chris Chelios. He's not as good. Only played 5 games in the NHL, and most of it has been spent in the AHL. And he spent the past 3 playing for Kunlun, so he is available. And on his right, Ryan Sproul. He's a 2011 draft pick, second round by the Detroit Red Wings. He's got a little bit more NHL time, but really, he's the number 1 D that I see for Kunlun and China.
Yeah, I think so too. Mississauga, Ontario born. So another Canadian in this lineup. Our next pair. We have Denis Osipov and Tai Schultz. Denis Osipov is Russian born, obviously. 34-year-old, originally from Moscow. 6-foot defenseman, has played in and around the KHL his entire life, has played with Kunlun this year, has 1 assist in 28 games, and is a -13. You'll see a lot of that. And Tai Schultz, right-hand shot from New Westminster, BC, 24-year-old defenseman. Played in the WHL, so he has some American or North American experience, and has 2 points in 21 games for Kunlun. But obviously, the majority of their offense is going to come from Chelios and Sproul.
Before we get to the third pair, that top 4, they were really seemed, when we were looking at the lines for Kunlun, pretty solid on the D. So we're pretty sure that's going to be the top 4. And so for our third pair, on the left we have Zach Yuen, and on the right, Jason Fram. And from that team, Fram's a guy who's played with a bunch of other left-handed D. Yeah, himself, he's a right shot D. So I see that, we're going to get to the guys, of course, later on in the roster, but I think that Fram's a guy who could play, we have, slotted in there on the third pair, while the top 4 is pretty solid. Fram, he is a full-time KHL guy, Kunlun star. He's pretty, we had him a lot higher on the second pair in our predictions. When we did them, we actually predicted him. He gets a lot of ice time. He is the third pair D in Kunlun, but I think he gets extra time on the PK and power play. I'm not too sure, but he gets he was getting over 25 minutes a night, despite being slotted technically on the third pair. So I think he's going to play a large part of this team. And then on the left for Zach Ewan, he is a 2011 draft pick by the Winnipeg Jets in the 4th round. Never really got his chance in North America, and he spent the past 6 years playing in the KHL.
Yeah, not very many of these guys have been drafted, but he's one of them, Zach Yen. And yeah. Now our extra guys look a little funny because there's gonna be a few extras coming to, or I guess staying in Beijing, in China. They have 9 defensemen total. So they have a few. We have Ruinan Yan to start and Zimeng Chen. And was the last guy? There he is. We put him down here because there's too many defensemen, and I'll also include, as well for just me, Alex here, is Pengfei Zhang. So we put the extras down here. We didn't have enough room. So 9 defensemen and 13 forwards for this team. And just to go over these guys real quick, they're a little bit younger than the rest of their teammates. Ruinan Yan has played 29 games for China, but 0 points. And these other 2 guys, I know we were talking about it just before here, have barely played at all. They've played 6 games, I think, apiece, but have played, I think, less than a minute of ice time in each of those games. So they're not utilized heavily at all. But they will be brought because they are part of the roster. And maybe they sneak into the game for injury, injury concerns, stuff like that. But these are our extra D.
Yeah, getting 5-6 games. They haven't really gotten their shot. But Ruinan Yan, we have as the 7th D there. Maybe he gets a shot. I think he's more likely to be the one because he has played. He is a regular.
Yeah, he's the real extra.
And that brings us to our forward line. We're on the first line here. We have the two Fu brothers, Parker and Spencer, and between them, Luke Lockhart. Of course, Parker Fu was a 2017 fifth round pick by the Chicago Blackhawks. He didn't get any NHL or AHL time, but his brother Spencer did get his chance in the NHL. He played 4 games for the Calgary Flames, scored 2 goals. He's currently playing. They're all currently playing for the Kunlun Red Star, but he has been so for the past 3 years. He's their alternate captain. He's one of the lead point scorers those past 3 years. He's a big part of this team and maybe the best forward on this team. So if you're if you know, we kind of predict maybe if you're thinking it's going to be a 10-1 kind of score, he might be the one that scores.
Yeah, these guys still bring a lot of offense. Parker obviously is still very young too. He's only 23, so still quite hasn't reached, I think, his full potential. But we'll see in the tournament. And just finally over Luke Lockhart, Alex.
Yeah, who has probably hit his full potential here. He spent the past 6 years in playing for Kunlun. He was never drafted. He is from Canada. He's from Burnaby. Played in the WHL. He had some all right numbers, but clearly not NHL worthy.
No, he's not going to be too big of an offensive threat. I am glad that this next player we're going to talk about, or one of them, gets to play in the Olympics. Our second line will consist of Ethan Werek, Tyler Wong, and NHL veteran Brendan Yip. Brendan Yip deserves to be in the Olympics. Obviously, he's a Canadian-Chinese player. He's played in the NHL. He has by far the most NHL experience on this roster. 36 years old. Always one of those guys who says he always wanted to play in the Olympics. He's going to get his chance. He's the captain of the Kunlun Red Star. He has 27 points in 46 games. In the NHL, he played 174 games, 56 points, spread out over a couple years, mainly in Colorado, but also in Phoenix for a couple games. He's the NHL guy. He's a little bit older, but he's our NHL player. Ethan Werek on the other side, 30 years old. Drafted in the second round, actually, in 2009 by the New York Rangers. Had a little bit of a sniff professionally, AHL, but otherwise has been in Kunlun for the last few years. And Tyler Wong will be down the middle here. 5'9", right-hand shot. He says he's a winger, but he's played center. 28 points in 48 games, minus 37. But that's, it comes with the territory being from here. Best career year, time in 2016-17, he had 109 points for the Lethbridge Hurricanes in 69 games in WHL. So he has offensive potential. We like him here. But mostly I am really happy for Brendan Yip.
Mm-hmm. That brings us to our third line. On the left, we have Eddie Yan. Down the middle, Cory Kane. And on the right, Tyler Wong. Eddie Yan, he's only... Oops. No, I lied.
Tyler Wong was my guy. You got Zesen Zhang on your right side.
Oops, I have Zesen Zhang. Yes, we know who we're talking about.
Yep, we are professionals.
Eddie Yan, he's only 21 years old. He would have been a 2019 draft pick. At the time, he was playing for the Victoria Grizzlies in the BCHL. He hasn't. This is his first year playing for Kunlun. He hasn't scored a point yet. So he came right up from juniors right into the KHL. I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad that he gets a chance to play at the Olympics. He's a guy that we actually predicted would be on this roster. So
yeah, one of these kind of fun players. He's from our neighborhood. He's from the Don Mills Flyers, very prominent minor league hockey team in Toronto. Went from the BCHL straight into the KHL. So that's a crazy, crazy jump. I'm going to recommend that he update his picture on his Elite Prospects page because I'm pretty sure this was the 2015-16 Don Mills Flyers, and you need to update your picture, my guy.
I didn't notice. Down the middle, we have Cory Kane. He's a guy that I feel that could maybe slide up this roster down the middle. We were talking that, Kunlun has kind of thrown their centers in the blender a little bit. They've kept the wingers the same, but between Cory Kane, Luke Lockhart, and Tyler Wong, they've kind of, mixed them up. So maybe Cory Kane gets onto the second line. Maybe he gets a shot on the first line. We're not so sure, but we have him on the third line just in case. He spent the past 6 years playing in Kunlun. He does have some AHL experience, and on the right, my mistaken Zesen Zhang, is 25 years old. This is his first full season in the KHL as well, because he had only been playing in the VHL, which is the Russian minor pro league, which is the equivalent to the AHL, to the NHL. So this is his first KHL season, and he hasn't scored a point either.
Yeah, you can tell the as far as the high level skilled guys definitely drop off a little bit on this team. They don't quite have the depth. That's where I think it's going to bite them. I think they're going to lose a lot of their zone time because they get trapped in the in their defensive zone because their bottom six is not as deep as other teams' bottom six, obviously. But to round out this lineup, at least on the fourth line, we got Rudi Ying, Jianing Guo. Sorry if I butchered that, and Pengfei Zhang. For our fourth line, I'll flip over. Rudi Ying, 23 years old. Again, not very highly effective in the KHL. 1 goal in 20 games. Some of the other guys on his team, comes from the VHL, which is the minor leagues. Doesn't have a lot of experience playing pro. The center here, 21 years old. Also, same kind of deal in the MHL, which is the junior league equivalent. So it's kind of like if North America would be NHL, AHL, CHL, kind of. So coming right into the KHL, playing 6 games. And Pengfei Zhang, last guy here, 23 years old, played in the NCAA last year at Arizona State. So jumping from NCAA hockey to pro hockey in Kunlun, played 7 games, no points. We drop off a little bit here, not gonna lie.
In their very last forward, because China only brought 13, that was 9 D13 forwards. That makes a 13th forward, Xudong Xiang. Zhang was a guy that actually played along with goaltender Pengfei Han on that China Golden Dragon team in the Czech 3 League. So 2 years ago, they were actually teammates, and now in Kunlun they are again. Zhang's only played 4 games, averaged at about 9 minutes on per game, and it slowly dropped off over those 4 games. He got less and less time, so I don't think he does get a shot at this tournament, but just in case of an injury or something, he will.
Yep, and that's it. That is Team China, or Team Kunlun Red Star. This is the roster they're going with for the 2022 Winter Games in just a couple weeks' time. I think the games start on the 2nd, but the NHL, the hockey doesn't start until quite a few days after that. So we'll see how Team China does in probably the hardest division they could possibly ask for, with Team Canada, Team USA, and Team Germany. And Germany, I think, actually right now is actually higher in the world rankings than a team like Team Sweden. So kind of yikes. The silver medalists from last year. I'm excited though. I really am to watch this team. We talk about the other countries, the other players, and it's very cool. Like, oh, there's a bunch of guys who you really don't get to see very often, or you haven't heard of in a few years, and it's like, oh, this is really cool. But China is that on another level. Like 99, unless you watch KHL hockey on a regular basis or Kunlun on a regular basis, you're probably never going to see these players again. And, if you're, just a typical North American hockey viewer, you're never going to see these guys again unless some of them have a crazy season or, tournament, and then maybe they get signed to a North American team and then they work their way up. I don't know. But it's really cool, and I'm excited for Team China. I hope they don't get blown out too hard, but I'm sure some of these kids have worked pretty hard to get here, and I'm excited for them.
Yeah, we talk about the talent level kind of dropping off, and they kind of have to accept the role that they are the underdog and that they might get outscored 10-1. And I feel like they might have, been willing to reach into that, just being like, well, it's okay, like some of these kids in the KHL will never have a chance to play against this kind of, in the Olympics or have this opportunity. It's good for development. It's good for hockey in China, good for developing the sport, developing interest. You're gonna have a bunch of people who are so happy to see young kids playing at the international level for their team, representing their country. And yeah, I'm excited for it too. I hope, I'm not gonna miss a single game that they play, and I hope our fans don't either.
Yeah, but that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more dope hockey content. Like you said at the beginning, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so that would be cool if you press that button. And yeah, I don't really know if I can ask, if there's any snubs on this team, because A, do you know anybody else? Or, and B, like, it's just Team Kunlun. So, yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. And peace till next time. Look out for the rest of the teams coming soon. We got Latvia, Denmark, and Germany are our last few teams. We're going to rifle through those soon. Check out the rest of our Olympic team breakdown videos. And I'll see you next time. Peace.